Man City still have some work to do before the Everton game.
Yeah, when you talk about the amount of shots that Manchester United had then, it's actually the most shots they've had all season in any match, and there's plenty more to talk to the guys about in just 3-2 out in Cyprus, which means that Group E looks like this. Manchester United are in second place with 6 points. Real Sociedad beat 10-man Sheriff by 2-0 tonight. David Silva was on the score sheet for the Spanish side, meaning that they stay top of the group with 9 points. They've got a 100% record, winning all 3 of their matches. And Omonia remain bottom of the table without any points from their first 3 games. But in the end, Manchester United managed to turn things around. It's kind of strange, really, when we sit here and look back at half-time, where we were all a bit shocked that Manchester United were trailing by 1-0 against Omonia. And now they've gone and turned the game around and won 3-2.
Yeah, we were always confident they would come back into the game. They had plenty of chances in that first half an hour, and you always felt they'd come back and score a goals and get the win. Look, it wasn't a convincing win, which you'd expect, and give them only a credit for that. No, they created some chances themselves, defended well, the keeper was really good. So, but the only thing to come out of tonight is they won the game.
They won the game. At the time when they went 1-0 down in the first half, Owen, they'd actually had all of the shots in the game. Omonia scored with their first shot of the...
When he's at the edge of his box, you'd expect a little bit more from him, and Malacia's bad touch, and then the reaction of Sancho as well. He starts to walk back, and there's, like, as Owen said, Eriksen sprints back, Martez sprints back, but ultimately they can't stop the goal.
Lots of questions Erik ten Hag would have said to the players.
Well, he made 2 subs straight away, and he took Jadon Sancho off, and he took Malacia off. Basically, what he's saying was, that was your guys' goal. And he's making a point to the team. And, you know, sometimes you have to be consequent, you know. Sir Alex was with us at times. And I think that, you know, that goal, I think, epitomised the fact he wasn't happy. He made some changes, and they had a huge impact on the game. Marcus Rashford was by far the best player on the pitch when he came on. Had a huge impact. Martial scored again. So I think in that sense, you know, the manager deserves a lot of credit for making subs, making big call at half-time.
Yeah, and it didn't take half for Marcus Rashford to get the equaliser, but what about the ball substitutes as well, Owen? The last 5 goals scored by Manchester United have all been scored by substitutes.
Well, they have really good options. You know, they have a big group of players to pick from. And it's nice to see, actually, Marcus, such a great athlete, you know, running in behind, making a forward run. When you have guys like Bruno, you had that with Scholes, you know, just make a run, he'll find you. You know, and it's a good run from Marcus, and it's a fantastic ball from Bruno Fernandes. So I think in that sense, it's nice to see not everybody coming short, get it into feet, running behind, because guys like Bruno and Scholes, they'll find you.
Yeah, Marcus Rashford had a good night. 2 goals and an assist involved in all 3 of Manchester United goals tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, job done, but we would have liked to have played better. I wouldn't say that we defended bad. I just think it was just mistakes, and you know, mistakes happen in football, so we have to move on. But you know, the least mistakes that we can make, the better for us.
Given the way that the first half went, you at half-time,
I think, you know, the first 35 minutes until they scored, we was playing well. We had a good movement. We could have probably just got in behind them a little bit more and had a bigger threat on the goal. But I thought we played well, you know, watching in the first half. Natural for me. But you know, I enjoy doing both positions and just helping the team. I think that's what's important, and we have a lot of players in the squad that can play in a few different positions.
With that result, do you think this is the first step, just stacking these kind of results?
Yeah, I think any games, you know, the next opportunity to do better than your last game, and it was massively needed after the weekend. So yeah, to come in and you know, difficult circumstances, it's a positive result for us. Like I said, we just need to tidy up the mistakes, and yeah, we'll be fine.
Well done tonight. Thank you.
That link up with Anthony Martial, both of them coming on as substitutes. How effective could that partnership prove to be this season for United?
Well, yeah, you'd like to think so. We know both lads are really talented. They're quick. They can finish. They can go either way. You'd like to see a bit more often from them, I suppose, a bit more consistency. But the quality's there. They're capable of doing a lot more for the team. I think there's a lot of goals in this Manchester United team. I do worry what's behind it. I think they're far too open at times, especially against a team tonight who, you know, you wouldn't expect to score 2 goals against them, but every time they went forward, United looked open. I think they've got to try and get that midfield partnership, or the 2 or 3 in there right. I think Casemiro brings a lot of control, a lot of composure to the midfield, but he needs legs around him. He had that at Real Madrid. If he's going to play on Sunday at Everton, he needs that around him to try and protect that back four.
Well, Rashford mentioned 2 goals that they conceded were down to individual mistakes rather than poor defending all over the pitch. Do you echo that?
Well, the first goal, definitely. That's why the manager made the 2 subs. Basically what he's saying is the 2 guys that made the mistake, he took them off. I think they have made some mistakes this season. And with Scholes, that wasn't technically a great side. They didn't have much of the ball. They didn't keep it really well, but they still managed to score a couple of goals. So I think in that sense, if off the back of conceding 6 against Man City, 8-2 is not fantastic. And Everton are in a decent run of form. So they need to tidy up defensively. I'm with Scholes. I think they'll always score goals, United. They've got so many good attacking players. But the problem is they're just conceding a little bit too much.
Well, let's take a look at Anthony.
So maybe injuries, confidence-wise, maybe not being happy. I don't know. But the lad has got ability. We just need to see it more often. He came on Sunday, obviously scored them 2 goals. And there's potential for this lad to score a lot of goals for Man United. I just hope he can take his chance now.
It's interesting because a game about the fact that Erik ten Hag didn't bring Cristiano Ronaldo on in the derby when they were 4-0 down. He brought Martial on. He got his goals. How much confidence would that have given him, despite the result, to be able to come onto the pitch tonight and do what he did? Yeah,
I think he's the type of player that needs confidence, because I think when he has it, he's a handful. He's a proper player, and I think he's good when he's always on the move. When he's running forward, I think he's really good. I thought Martinez played some great balls into the centre forwards quicker, so they're able to get it and turn and run at people. Marcus looks great doing that. Martial looks great doing that. I think when they have their back to the game, when they have to be almost like a wall player, I don't think either of them like that Scholes he did that. They kind of want to be on the move and running at people, and they're very, very good.
It was his 100th career goal tonight, Anthony Martial, as well. Talked about the fact that there were mistakes for the goals conceded, and Omonia came close when the game was at 2-1 to equalising.
Just doesn't get enough on the ball, and if they get to 2-2, you never know, it could have gone either way, because again they scored after that as well. So United were, as much as they created chances at the other end, they were a little bit lucky as well.
Yeah, well, we thought that at 3-1, Marcus Rashford's goal equalled his tally for the whole...
Cristiano through the middle, because they can play wide. But it's nice to see Marcus being really positive, because I think when Marcus runs with the ball, he's actually almost impossible to play against. He's quick and he's strong. He's a good striker of the ball. So with Martial and Cristiano, I'm a Scholes. I think there's options there to be positive about.
Could you going forward?
I can on Sunday, yeah. I think the impression that the 2 subs have made tonight with Cristiano as well. There are a lot of games Cristiano will be able to play, and I think Everton could be one of them. It's not a massive pitch. You won't have to be sprinting out everywhere, working the channels. When he's got 2 wide lads who have got goals in them, I think the 2 wide lads that played today, Sancho and Anthony, look, I know Anthony scored on Sunday, but I think Martial and Rashford would be more dangerous. I think they've got a little bit more about them. They can go either way. They're quick. Defence will be frightened to death of them. And Cristiano, okay, he had a lot of chances tonight. It didn't quite work for him. It wasn't quite his night. But that won't happen for long with Cristiano. If he gets chances Sunday, he will score.
Well, as positive as they were going forward, as we've spoken about, had another goal.
As they did, and you get punished. So I think that's what you got to tidy up, those mistakes which you don't need. But you have to credit the 2 finishers. They were very, very good.
OK, well, lots of credit going to Omonia. Let's hear from their manager next week.
Yeah, I thought he nailed that, actually, because he thought they didn't really believe until they scored. And then once they scored, they started to get a bit more belief. Scholes, you mentioned half-time, they started to have a bit more possession, be a bit more positive. And I think in a way, of course, they would have preferred to get a result. But I think those players would be delighted the fact they scored a couple of goals, had another good opportunity, which they could have taken with the lob, and caused United problems, really, without much of the ball. Neil mentioned it there. United dominated the game and deserved to win. But they posed a threat, and I think he'd be happy with that.
Yeah, they had a couple of good moments in the match, didn't they? And we're going to take a break now, but when we return, we are going to be here...
From Anthony Martial. First involvement, back of the net. Here's Ronaldo. And that ought to be game, set, match to Manchester United.
What did you think of your side's performance?
I think we started well. Couple of chances. And then unnecessary down. Mistake cannot happen. You have to take responsibility there. But then a really bad 10 minutes. You let the crowd get alive, and you have to avoid that. And we know that all. Some couple of things, especially more runs. And we were too static. and we have to make the opposite movement to get behind, and that's why also we make 2 subs in that time, and they had really an impact. And Luke and Marcus, definitely, but also Anthony Martial, of course, with his 2-1. I think the subs had really an impact today, and that is really good. That makes the team stronger. I've already seen that in pre-season. And was a really big disappointment for this team, for me, when he got injured in the last 10 minutes against Atletico Madrid. So we missed him in the first couple of weeks. And
Sunday, doesn't it? Have you seen enough from the performance tonight to take confidence into that game?
No. Being honest, I haven't. I think he was right there what he said about the wingers being static. I think Sancho never really runs in behind. He's a player who needs somebody to play with. He needs a fast left back if he's playing on the left hand side. He needs a centre forward to link with. He hasn't really got that. I think Anthony on the other side as well doesn't run in behind. He seems to be a little bit of a one-trick pony. He's always cutting inside, passing back to the full-back or having a shot, and he needs to develop a little bit more. It's still early days for him, we know that. But I'd be more worried about the midfield area. I think they look too open at times tonight. I think Casemiro coming in, yes, he brings control, he brings composure, hasn't really got the legs to play there on his own. I think on Sunday, if Casemiro plays, they'll have to play someone with him, someone right next to him, whether that's a Fred or a McTominay. He's played with Fred with Brazil. I think they've got a really good record together. Yeah. We were talking before. Because the back four, for me, need protecting. I think once you get at them 2 centre-halves and the full-backs, Malacia came off at half-time. That may be a sign that Luke Shaw will play on Sunday. I think they're vulnerable. I don't think they're great one-on-one defending. I think Everton are a much better team than we've seen the opposition tonight. And if they get them type of chances, you'd expect them to score.
Who do you think should start in midfield on Sunday then, Owen? Because after the Derby defeat, all the questions were being asked about why you've got a player worth that amount of money sat on the bench in Casemiro. But after what you've seen tonight, has he done enough to start Sunday?
Well, you've got to give him a chance to play, Jules. You spend a lot of money on him. The guy's won 5 Champions Leagues. He can be a great asset to the team. So I'm sure he'll get a run of games. I think he needs it. And I'm sure he'll play on the weekend. The question is, it's not who plays in the midfield. It's, what are your front 3? Depending on what your front 3 are, then you need to dictate your midfield. If you go with Martial, Ronaldo and Rashford, then I think you need 2 defensive midfield players in there with one, whether Eriksen or Bruno. If you play, depending on who the front 3 are, then maybe you can play 2 number 10s. Scholes made the point. They should dominate the ball at Goodison, because they're better than Everton in possession. So I think he's got options now. And I think having Martial back gives him something different. I could see that front 3 that finished the game. I could see them starting the game, but I'm sure Casemiro will play. Just the question is who plays with him.
Who's your front 3 for Sunday?
Yeah, I'd go with that front 3. I think at the minute they'll probably be the most dangerous. As I said, there's games for Cristiano. I think Sunday could be a game for him. Martial and Rashford, I think they picked themselves after tonight. They made such a difference in that second half. Again, I keep going back to the midfield area. I think that's the big question. I think if Casemiro plays, he definitely needs somebody next to him. Look, he played for Real Madrid for so many years. He played in the 3 all the time. 2 brilliant players next to him. Now, he needs help. He hasn't got the greatest of legs, but what he does bring is control, composure, good passing, nice relaxed nature about him, almost as a captain type character. He'll need Fred or McTominay with him. He'll need one of them with him. The interesting thing might be Bruno and Eriksen, really, what he does with that, because he brought Bruno off after, I don't know how long, after an hour. He's been a little bit ineffective over the last 3 or 4 weeks, so maybe it'll be Casemiro, Fred, McTominay, and possibly Eriksen. It might be a time for Bruno to have a little bit of a rest on Sunday.
OK, Paul, Owen, thank you so much for your company. We're going to be at